how do factors like stress, exercise, and diet affect ovulation?
Any environmental factor around you, in case it is giving you a problem, you can have a change of your period pattern. A girl will say, oh, I missed my periods. And suddenly a girl has got married. Then also we say, okay, you just got married, you would have missed the period any which ways.
How does women's fertility change in her 30s?
As you're going older, there are chances of there being, chromosomal problems. Congenital abnormalities, the risk goes up.
Welcome to Prega Talks, a podcast where we break myths around women's health and pregnancy. And today we have with us a very eminent personality in the field of medicine. She's a gynecologist and laparoscopic surgeon. She is a Padma Shri awardee and she has remarkably contributed in the field of medicine. And it is such a pleasure to have Dr. Malvika Sabharwal with us here. Hello, Dr. Malvika Sabharwal. Welcome to Prega Talks, a podcast where we talk about fertility and reproductive health. Ma'am, today we'd like to talk about a very, very important topic that is usually misunderstood: ovulation. What is ovulation? How do we track it? And why is it so important when you talk about the fertility cycle? We'll talk about all this and much more. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for touching on this very pertinent topic.
So, ma'am, what exactly is ovulation and why it is considered such an integral part of the fertility cycle?
Ovulation is when a ripe egg comes out of the ovary. It gets ruptured, ready to be picked up by the fallopian tube and ready for fertilization. If timed contact happens, then there are good chances that pregnancy can happen. Fertilization takes place in the tube, and thereafter it comes inside the uterus and settles down. So it's a very, very important thing to know at what is the time of ovulation. And the reason being, the life period of the egg is only 12 to 24 hours. So that 24 hours is a very, very short window which is there with us. Hence, it becomes very important for infertility or managing of a good fertility outcome.
And what are the common signs to know that someone is ovulating, and how important is that for conception?
You know, the common signs for ovulation are so clear. Nature is so great actually that if explained to a young girl, she can be just doing it at home. So there is a little pain in the lower abdomen, and obviously, the ovaries, there are two ovaries. You will be ovulating from one side, that left side in one cycle. The next month, you'll be ovulating from the right side, from the other side. So the pain is a very typical lower abdomen pain, which will be pointing towards the left lower abdomen, which is called Bittelsmurz. That is the name given to this pain. And this actually relates to the ovulation which has happened. This is one very important point. And then there is a discharge. Whenever you have a bath or whatever, whenever you're cleaning yourself, you'll realize that there is an egg white discharge. It is something like an egg white which is stretchy. It's not opaque. In a girl who is having other problems, it is definitely different from anything else. It's a mid-cycle discharge which is absolutely normal to have for just that couple of days. And third thing, which is another thing is that the girl, it's very amazing that despite the pain and the discharge, the girl is more receptive to the husband, basically. So thereby we can also say that the libido goes up. The libido or the receptivity to the husband is definitely more. And basically, if you were to see, the cervical mucus is ready to receive the sperms and go on to a natural process. If you look around in nature, it is like that all over. So it's nothing very different. You just have to catch the signs.
How does the timing around ovulation impact conception? And how would you know that, if you're ovulating, and is it really important when you're trying to get pregnant?
Of course, because you see the egg, the lifespan of the egg is so limited. It's just about maximally 24 hours. So if you time it, so timed intercourse is something which is very necessary for if you're thinking of having a family and wanting a conception. That is a time period, that's the window period to be used to have a contact with the spouse.
So is that the best time
It is the best time.
when you're trying
Yes.
to conceive.
Absolutely. It is the best time. For the sperms, it is different. The sperms can last you for a longer period.
Hmm.
I would say for sperms, almost like good 24 to 48 hours are good. So whenever we always tell them to have a contact when they have these signs of ovulation, which could be natural signs in the body, or we can use these ovulation trackers because I love to use them. But I tell all my girls, do not worry your husband about this ovulation tracker that we use. This is basically to pick up the LH surge. LH is luteinizing hormone. So it has a big surge. That means it goes up, and that is what causes all these changes, what I just talked about.
Right.
And that is the one which happens, and subsequently, it's going to be the ovulation happening. So it is within 24 to 36 hours that she will be ovulating. That is the time. So we always tell them, okay, when the LH surge has happened, please have a contact because the sperms have a good life for about 2 or 3 days is very good. Of course, books and all will tell you 5 days, etc. But I personally tell them all that it is the LH surge which is most important, and this is the time that you have to have a contact without troubling the husbands.
So, what exactly is the best time when you're trying to conceive?
So the best time is when the egg ruptures, when the ovulation happens, when a good mature egg ruptures, that's the time to have a contact with the husband so that it results in a good fertilization and good embryo which gets formed subsequently. Because egg is ruptured and it is picked up by the fallopian tube, the sperms have to ascend up the cervix into the uterine cavity, into the tube. And that's where the fertilization happens. And that's where the embryo gets formed and starts to move towards the uterine cavity and embeds there, nides there. That's the best time actually.
And what are the common ovulation disorders and how does it affect women's fertility? Can it also be treated?
Yeah, that's a very good question actually, Swati. So these, young girls having polycystic ovarian syndromes, they are one where eggs don't get formed. There are multiple follicles which are getting formed, but nothing is really ripening to form a good egg which can result in a good embryo. So that is one thing which needs help. And they should not shy away from that. In fact, if they rise and shine early and if they reach the doctor and take ovulation induction, that's the best way. And then they follow it up correctly under the guidance of the doctor. Whether it is by the using any of these ovulation detection kits or by ovulation scan, depending on the age that at which they are. So that is one thing. Then thyroid problems. Any thyroid ups and downs also have a lot of play on the good egg formation, which again, if detected, should be treated on time. In fact, thyroid is a problem that should be corrected even before the patient conceives. So it's very important for her to reach the hospital. Again, another thing is prolactin. Prolactin is a hormone. There are 3 hormones in a body of a female, that is FSH, LH and prolactin. So they have a balance. Prolactin means it's a hormone which goes up when the patient has delivered the baby, and that's the time she's lactating. And when she's lactating, the prolactin levels are very high. Sometimes even unmarried girls can have, or even married girls who are not conceiving will be having. So prolactin is one of the essentials that we are testing for. And that level can, if high, should be treated. And it is very simple to treat them. A condition where prolactin level is high. Prolactin is a hormone which goes high in certain conditions. Out of the 3 hormones which the female has, prolactin is one. If it is high, the girl will complain of secretion from the breasts. Normally, when they are lactating, it is high. But in case a non-pregnant girl is saying that the breasts are secreting milk, then you have to get a prolactin level. Or even in case they're not having, still prolactin may be part of your workup. And in case high, then there are simple medicines available which can treat it. And once treated, they come back to normal and the ovulation starts to happen. So these are few things which are very correctable in a very simple manner, but the patient must report to the doctor.
And ma'am, how do factors like stress, exercise, and diet affect ovulation? And can there be other lifestyle changes that can be supportive for ovulation?
See, let me tell you one thing. I'll give you a very simple example. If there is some happiness, if there's a marriage round the corner, if there is a death in the family, anything which is going up and down in the family, any environmental factor around you, in case it is giving you a problem, you can have a change of your period pattern. A girl will say, oh, I missed my periods. And suddenly a girl has got married. Then also we say, okay, you just got married. You would have missed the period any which ways. Because the environment has changed from a Maika to the Sasural. You understand?
Right.
From the parents' house or to the in-laws' house. So even as much as that can create a problem. Because remember one thing, a normal period happens from your pituitary, your brain has got a gland, pituitary, and over and above that, there is a hypothalamus. It may appear Greek and Latin to you, but just let it go into your head. That there is management which is beyond you. It's a nature doing it. You eat from here, it comes out from there. It's nothing that you're doing something. You're not rolling something. It is just natural thing. So it is your hypothalamus which is going on to pituitary, and your gonad is your ovaries. So there is an axis there. So which automatically goes up and down, and any stress, any stress of some death, some khushi, of some happiness, shadi, yeah, whatever.
Some factors.
So any factor can affect it, and you can have a period which goes haywire, and thereby also some corollary to that would be your ovulation also goes haywire. So that affects the thing. So anybody who's on alcohol, extra smoking, substance abuse, they are the ones who can have this kind of a problem where ovulation does get affected. So we have to be aware of these things, and young couples should together understand. Of course, I've got so many patients who will say, okay, can I have a glass of wine today? Even while pregnant, they would take permission. Okay, how often can I have a glass of wine and move ahead? So these things are very common, So if done together, they may be okay, but too much is not allowed. Caffeine is another thing. You have to limit your caffeine. It's not a big no. So since it's going, it's something that we should keep it in mind. There are girls who can just go on taking coffee.
And how does women's fertility change in her 30s? And why does the success rate of natural conception and assisted reproductive technologies decline with age?
What happens is, see, in up to 30s, you can expect a natural conception. You don't talk of anything, but you just encourage them to be investigated and move on, to become proactive. You want to convince them into having a baby. And you do give them drugs, simple drugs for ovulation induction. Subsequently, as the age is going on, you've already investigated the patient. As you're growing older, now coming to your next question, that how does it affect a natural conception or a ART conception, the outcome of ART? Because with age, we must understand as we are aging, we are liable to have more problems. Whether these are medical issues, whether they are because of the continuous, hormonal milieu which is going on, you can land up having fibroids, endometriosis, things like that. You can be medically also, as we're growing older, a younger girl may not have, other comorbidities, as we call it. But they may land up having all those. So they must be investigated, and they all have an effect on your, the kind of milieu that you will be giving to a pregnancy. So you must have a healthy understanding of the nature that you should have baby on time, because with time, as you're going older, there are chances of there being, chromosomal problems, congenital abnormalities, the risk goes up. Down syndrome, which is a very common problem, and it should be picked up on time. Today, we have all efforts to make sure that we are investigating the patients nicely when they are pregnant to rule out any of the aneuploidies, we call them, means chromosomal problems. Down syndrome is just one example of that, wherein the 21 number of chromosome gets affected. And this is, supposing you were to compare at the age of 25, the risk may be as much as 1 in 1200. But yet we are investigating every patient for this. But at the age of 35, it will be as much as 1 in 350 you will see this. So that's a huge risk. And then if diagnosed, you obviously will terminate the pregnancy. So the outcome gets affected. So all these factors come into the outcome. As such, even the chromosomal abnormalities are there. The milieu has changed inside the body. So it is not going to be as good. And as you're growing older, these ovums, the eggs which are getting formed are also quality-wise, they're going down. Therefore, we say the abortion rate goes up.
Ma'am, what exactly is egg freezing and when is it recommended?
Well, it is such an important question in today's day because, girls are not getting married on time. And then, even if they were to get married, they don't want to plan a family. Neither of them, neither the husband or the wife, wants a baby on time. They do not understand that for a woman, the body clock is going to be ticking away and the quality of the eggs will go down. The quality will go down, which will affect the outcome of further pregnancies. So, to have a healthy baby, it's very important to have a good egg. To the extent that girls who are planning a pregnancy after the age of 35, you will straight away, or maybe 35 and more, and now they give an answer. But in Hollywood, mein toh they get married only at 40, and then they are, look at Priyanka Chopra, look at this, look at that, that they have babies very late. But the point is, you must understand that the quality, once you start losing a pregnancy, that is one of the worst things. So I always tell them, okay, now that if you have a partner, freeze an embryo. And again, the same thing, if the partner is there today, but the partner might change the next day,
Right.
which is another story. So young girls who are unmarried, I tell them, at least freeze your eggs. At least a young egg will give you a better yield eventually. So the right time and the right place, and also making, of course, you have to be totally assured as to what you're using, and the outcome will depend on that.
What is controlled ovarian hyperstimulation? And for women over 40 years of age, why is it so challenging? And why does the rate of pregnancy decline in this age group?
Okay, so number one, controlled ovarian hyperstimulation is when you're giving more and more medicines basically to super ovulate the ovary. So that ovary forms more and more eggs which can be, which can be extracted, and then you carry on the procedure of IVF. So normally COH is, or controlled ovarian hyperstimulation, is done in cases of IVF, wherein we are planning to retrieve the eggs like that and go on with the process. Now, coming to 40 years of age, it becomes more difficult because after 40 years, even if they get formed, number one, the response of the ovary is very poor. So you require more and more drugs to stimulate the ovary. And then the ovaries don't really form good quality eggs. So the failure rate goes up. So this is the reason why it gets, the outcome doesn't come out so good.
Ma'am, 3 tips for a successful conception.
Well, good semen test, a good egg formation, ripe, healthy egg, a good tubes to pick it up, and of course the lining of the uterus where it has to eventually nide should be supportive.
How do ovulation kits detect the best days to get pregnant?
So I think ovulation detection kits are wonderful. I think this is one thing which should be used by all, because once you've decided that you want to get pregnant, it's a very good thing even in a normal cycle. Even in a normal cycle, if you were to use the ovulation detection kit, it is something which can tell you the right time for contact. And let me tell you, today, everybody is not only working. Look at these guys and girls all. They go into night shifts. They're working all day long. They have these various things. And now this is the time when, the rhythm of the body, which we normally say there's something in how you sleep, why you get up in the morning and why you sleep in the evening. It is called circadian rhythm in the body. Now, your whole system is settled around that. And now when you're having these night shifts and all, you may not even realize you're young. You're getting paid very well because now you're tallying with the American time, sitting over there and you're doing work for them. And your body rhythm is going haywire. It's affecting your ovaries and the spermatogenesis. Everything in a man and a woman, everything is going haywire. So, ovulation tracker or ovulation detection kit, I would say ovulation detection kits will tell you when you've ovulated. So, even in your travel time, you are quite independent. You're not dependent on any ovulation scan where you have to go for the ultrasound. Let me tell you, when you go for your ovulation scan, I feel my girls are getting under pressure. Every time they have to reach the hospital, meet the doctor, they go and lie down, and on the couch, then they are kind of worried as to what is going to be the outcome. So that itself is stressful. So if you're using an ovulation detection kit at home, it's the simplest possible thing. You just put the urine there and there you are, you have the answer. And let it be. Have a diary, maintain the diary, don't share with any, don't talk about it. Just be on your positive exercises, your dance classes, your yoga classes, everything else you carry on in your normal life. But tell your mind you're going to be relaxed. Okay? And carry on with that and know the right time of your detection.
So these detection kits, are they really accurate? And when do you advise that one should start using it?
See, Swati, that's a question which has always come to everybody's mind, even as a doctor. So whenever you use certain drugs, you don't know whether it is correct or not, whether it is really efficacy wise, it is efficacious or not. You may use a drug. So for that, I always tell some patients when possible to use the ovulation detection kit along with the ovulation scan at least for 1 month. That way, 1 or 2 months, wherein they are stationed here, they can see how it's growing and they can corroborate that thing. And once you corroborated that it is hand in hand, then thereafter, wherever you are, you're independent. And therefore, you're just going to have the answer to yourself. And then you don't have to announce it everywhere, not even to your husband, because just stay put. I mean, our aim is that humko ye focus hai and we are going to just have that. And that's finished. And just move around that. Okay?
And when do I know that I'm at the peak of my fertility cycle while using a detection kit?
So, usme, when you do the ovulation detection kit, it shows you that there is ovulation, there is a LH surge. LH is a hormone. Now, there are FSH and LH. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone, which works in a first half of the cycle. Now, you can imagine a girl who's having regular periods every 30 days, 28 days. So, in a 28-day cycle, the first 14 days are the time which is a follicular phase wherein the FSH is working and the egg is getting mature. And when the ovulation happens, it needs a trigger. And that trigger is what? The trigger is the luteinizing hormone. The body secretes LH, and as the LH surge happens, she's going to ovulate within 24 to 36 hours. Sometimes this LH surge is happening, and as it happens, it is picked up by the ovulation detection kit. And that is what is helpful. Once the detection has happened, LH surge has happened, so she will be ovulating soon after that. And the duration will be, I've already told you, 24 hours. So even when the LH surge is happening, if you have a contact with husband, and that sperm has a good life for the next 48 hours, that is going to be staying and that is going to be actively staying. When you read somewhere 5 days ke liye rehta hai and all that, it is there. It may stay, but actively it may not fertilize. So if you were to really think of it, the LH surge, when it happens, I tell them to please have a contact. And subsequently the next day also, because the ovulation normally happens 36 hours from there. So once the ovulation happens, the sperm is already there, ready to fertilize it in the body, in the fallopian tube. And the egg is getting picked up by the fallopian tube and the fertilization happens and the embryo happens thereafter.
Can the ovulation kit detect ovulation if the period cycles are not regular?
Actually, in an irregular cycle, one thing is static. One thing we all know is that ovulation will happen 14 days prior to your coming periods. That means whenever your next period is coming, 14 days prior, you're going to be ovulating. So in a person who's having regularly irregular cycles, so what we do is we tell them, okay, you keep the menstrual calendar, make a note of it, and make sure that this is your, 30 days, 45 days, whatever days or 60 days, and roughly calculate it. So 14 days prior, she will be ovulating. So we say, okay, add couple of more days to that. Even if you use 2 kits, it's worth it. But you add a few more days, maybe 3 days, 5 days, and start using the kit that time. So it's not very expensive. These detection kits are not very expensive, but you can use it because it's a simple, non-stressful way of knowing that you're ovulating. So even an irregular periods cycle will have some ovulation. In case there is no LH surge which is getting detected, then it is advisable And if the age is permitting like that, either you immediately go on to ovulation scan or you straight go to the next step. So in a irregular cycles, it's absolutely a good question that when to start using the ovulation detection kit. One must understand, however irregular the period is, the ovulation will be happening 14 days prior to the next expected date of periods. For example, in a 60-day cycle, you do 60 minus 14, and that is the date when she will be ovulating. So when do we start using the ovulation kit? We will start using it from whatever the calculated date you have done minus maybe 3 to 5 days. So I will start using that, say about 20 days prior to 17 days prior. I'll start using the ovulation detection kit. And we'll keep using it till the time we get the LH surge, which means that it has now, it's happening now, the ovulation is happening. Now, remember one thing, in irregular cycles, the other thing that we can do is we can just take an average of the last 3 cycles and then calculate that. That also is a method of doing the calculation, you know. So, it's not very difficult. But in case one is confused, one should use ovulation scan and know the development of the egg, and also the growth of the egg. Also, the lining of the uterus can be corroborated in the same sitting, and move ahead with the timed intercourse and have some good outcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The information has been very, very useful. So I think with this, it is quite clear that whether you're trying to conceive or you're just curious to know your body, ovulation is the key. So knowing more about it, how do you track it, how do you optimize it is very, very essential to get a better clarity on your body and also your reproductive health. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into Prega Talks. We hope today's session helped you learn more about PCOD and how you can manage it, especially if you're planning a pregnancy. We will come up with more such episodes wherein we bust the myths related to women's health. Till then, take care, keep smiling, and stay aware.